Welcome to On the Vineyard, a weekly podcast from the Vineyard Gazette Media Group on Martha's Vineyard. I'm publisher Monica Brady-Meyerov. We're so glad you're here. On the Vineyard is sponsored by Crane Appliance. The Derby has started. Last Sunday, the opening bells rang for the beginning of the Derby. Fishermen come from all over to land on the leaderboard. Shore fisherman John Scampini comes from Boston every year to fish the Derby. At his weigh-in on Wednesday, he brought in a bonito that he caught near the lighthouse in Eggertown. He guessed it weighed about 4 pounds.
4.35.
4.35. You had a good guess.
Yeah.
You said it would be about 4.
Yeah,
You can tell.
you did enough.
Does it put you on the leaderboard?
Sure, fly rod, 4.33, 4.93. I'm good, close. I am.
Wow. Oh. Top of the shore.
4.35.
Is that the top?
To his surprise, he landed the number 1 spot for shore fishing bonito, at least for now. He didn't expect it to hold because he says the fish are reportedly big this year. How big was our summer season? We'll find out.
The season got off to kind of a sluggish start. Even July was slow, and August was just bananas.
More on that story in a moment. This week, we learned that Brazil Fest is being postponed again because of legitimate fears of ice. The outdoor festival celebrating rural traditions in Brazil was scheduled to be held in June, but was canceled when ice arrested about 40 people on Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket. Many members of the Brazilian community are still living in fear of arrest and possible deportation, so it seemed wise to cancel a festival that would bring Brazilians and islanders together, which is a shame. This week, I saw the new feature film, Unfinished Business, a truly Massachusetts politics story, written and produced in large part by the former Secretary of State, Michael Connolly. The movie starts on the Vineyard at the Harborview Hotel, where the lead character is celebrating his 90th birthday. The drone shots are beautiful, and the story is well told. It'll be at the Eggertown Cinema for the next 2 weeks and will be shown around Massachusetts. That's the sound of the historic press in the Vineyard Gazette offices in Eggertown printing the paper. And that means it's time to go upstairs to the newsroom and check in with Bill Evell, the editor-in-chief, and the reporters on this week's news.
Hello, everyone. This week we decided to look back at the summer and see how business was around the island. Looks like, for the most part, it was a good season, but it had a couple of new wrinkles in how it shaped out. Ethan Genter checked in with a lot of businesses, the Chamber of Commerce, and found out sort of a new intriguing trend that could be happening on the Vineyard. Ethan?
What we learned talking with folks is the season got off to kind of a sluggish start. Even July was slow, and August was just bananas, absolutely kind of wall-to-wall. Business was booming. So it's kind of created this new dichotomy of July slow, August busy. You know, August has always been a busy month on the Vineyard, but it seemed even more pronounced this year.
And anecdotally, that's definitely what people were saying. Myself, when I wandered around, July did seem a little bit mellower, and then August was nuts as usual. But so what is this sort of 1 month or 6 week season? What could that portend?
Yeah, we had a few people who voiced concern saying, what if it rains for 4 weeks straight in August, you know? You don't want too many eggs in one basket, so there's a little concern of if we put everything in August and something happens in August, or, you know, one of the kind of the hallmark events, something changes for them, what does it mean? A lot of folks said, yeah, this year was good, on par, maybe slightly down, slightly above, but there's some of these different trends that are emerging that are something to keep an eye on, it seems like.
Everybody knows we have some huge events in August. Obviously, the fair and the fireworks and illumination, and the African American Film Festival has really brought in a lot of people. But what the heck's wrong with July?
I talked to one real estate agent who was kind of like, I don't know what happened to July. It's not like the Vineyard's not a fun destination in July, so that had some people scratching their heads. You know, maybe it's just a one summer phenomenon. Some people did kind of look at it as August, the attraction is so strong that those people are going to come kind of no matter the external situations of the world. And they said, you know, maybe it's international people weren't coming as much, and they usually come kind of early summer. Families who are maybe feeling a little bit of a price crunch, that could have factored into it. So these are some of the things that people are thinking may have played into how things turned out.
Your article, you also noticed that some store owners were seeing a lot more day trippers, people who perhaps couldn't afford to spend a night here.
That was something that had come out, and we looked at the steamship data. It was about the same, a little up, a little down, but there was no big swings. I think the most interesting piece that we found when we looked at data was passengers at the airport went up, I think it was 21%. It was this big rise. July, I think it was 3%, and June was down, I think, about 13%. Maybe that's a new trend, as we're seeing just a lot more people kind of flying in. We talked to some folks who said, it looks like bookings could bounce back next year.
That's interesting. They're already looking at next year, and it looks good so far. All right. Thanks so much, Ethan, for checking that out.
Thank you, Bill.
Turning now to reporter Emma Kilbride, who just started her first week at the Gazette this week as a full-time reporter. Many of you may remember her name from last summer. She was an intern here. She just graduated from Bowdoin. Welcome to the Gazette, Emma.
Thanks for having me, Bill. I'm really excited to be here.
She had a couple of stories this week, but we're going to turn now to Wednesday's Zoning Board of Appeals in Oak Bluffs, where they were deciding on a potential winter shelter location for Harbor Homes. Harbor Homes is the organization that operates the winter shelter. They had been doing a community services location for years. That is under construction, so they couldn't do it there, so they've been looking for a new home. So this was on the agenda Wednesday, and Emma was there.
On Wednesday night, the Oak Bluffs ZBA voted 4-1 to approve the temporary use of their women's group home for an overnight winter shelter. And it was quite a contentious meeting. A lot of people from Oak Bluffs showed up. They had concerns about the safety implications of the project, and they also had concerns about whether or not a deed restriction calls into question the legality of the temporary move.
Now, for those who don't know, Harbor Homes, they operate both a men's group home and also a women's group home, and this ongoing winter shelter that goes from November to April each year. Now, what's going to happen to the women in the group home during this winter?
The women who are currently at the group home are going to be staying at a different property in Oak Bluffs that they're going to rent this winter.
So for the shelter, what are sort of the numbers people are looking at?
Sure. So the capacity is 25 people. The people must be over 18. But generally speaking, according to Harbor Homes, last year there would be 10 to 12 people a night. It got as high as 16 one night. They've never been at full capacity.
And it just operates at night, right? You come in the evening and you have to be out in the morning, correct?
Sure. So it opens up at 6 p.m. People can be taken in until 7 p.m., and then it closes at 8 a.m. the following morning, and that's every night.
All right. So this is really good news for the least among us, those who would sort of face the harshest conditions each winter, because this was up in limbo. Last year, when construction started at community services, they operated out of the churches for a little bit, which they did, when the organization first started, but that wasn't a possibility, right?
No, Harbor Homes and the churches came to the decision together that doing that for a whole winter would not be feasible.
And this is a stopgap measure, right? It's just for this season, at least for now?
Exactly. It's temporary. So it's going to start on November 1st and end on April 19th of next year.
And then the women, according to the article, will then move back into their permanent group home.
Yes, they will. In fact, while the home is being operated as a temporary overnight shelter, the rooms that the women live in year-round are being renovated.
So that sort of works out well for everybody.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks so much, Emma, and welcome to the Gazette and welcome to the radio.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
You can read more on these stories and all the news for free at vineyardgazette.com. If you're looking for something to do this Saturday, and it's going to be beautiful, you can run in the NAACP 23rd Annual George Tankard Jr. Memorial Road Race. That's in Oak Bluffs. Or catch the Chappie Ferry and help with beach cleanup on East Beach or Waisquee. They tally up the pounds of trash at the firehouse at 11 a.m. Also next week, the auction for Bass in the Grass kicks off on Thursday. This is the annual fundraiser for the Derby Scholarship Fund that pairs local organizations with artists who create a work of art out of a wooden fish. The Vineyard Gazette is proud to partner with Oak Bluff's seasonal resident Steve London, an artist and lifelong fisherman who does the Japanese art of fish printing. It's like it sounds. He catches a fish, puts ink directly onto the fish, and lays it on rice paper, transferring the image by hand. What's cool about this work of art for Bass in the Grass is that he transfers the inked fish onto parts of the Vineyard Gazette newspaper. Because it's opening week of the Derby, let's reach into the archives and hear from Ed Jerome, former principal of the Edgartown School, charter fisherman, and longtime president of the Derby. He died in 2018. Here he reflects on his favorite spot to fish.
Everybody knows my favorite place. Everybody. That's the gut. It's interesting. I just love that place. I've spent 1,000 nights there in all these years, so it's a lot. And I would go out there religiously, and I still do, especially during the Derby. When I catch a good fish, maybe I go, oh, they must be in the gut. I just love being out there. Nobody goes. It's too far. You got to ride all the way around the whole Chappaquiddick, come all the way back to get to that point. It takes about 45 minutes. When you didn't have the breach, you could drive it. It was so much easier because you go home without having to take the ferry. But everybody goes home and takes the ferry at 12 o'clock. That's when I go. I love it. I am on the last boat going that way, and they're on this way. And then in the morning, be on the 7 o'clock, come over, go to work.
Thanks to the Martha's Vineyard Museum for that interview with Ed Jerome, conducted by Lindsay Lee. Our theme music is from island composer and musician Michael Hayden. If you like the show, please follow us so you won't miss an episode, and tell a friend who loves the vineyard. Thanks to our sponsor, Crane Appliance. Many people think Crane's prices are more expensive. They can actually be less expensive, as they often have access to rebates for select brands that the big box stores don't. Crane Appliance, they call the Cape and Islands home. I'm Monica Brady-Myrov. Thanks for joining us on The Vineyard. Talk to you next week.